I, Shalom, want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shah, Wahar Rakah Quadas, which in the ancient Hebrew tongue would be the correct names of the Heavenly Father, His beloved Son, and the Holy Spirit. I also would like to give double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much due honors and respect to the sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in His work. And as always, I want to say shalom to the believers, the Akim as well as the Aquab, which will be you brothers along with the sisters that subscribe to this truth as well. So yeah, the topic of this lesson right here is going to be pretty much centered around, the current events, that's taking place here on the planet Earth. This whole swarm of activity, which could be considered unprecedented, in the fact that the so-called white man and his power structure, which has had a firm grip, if you will, on the planet Earth, is now beginning to falter. When you consider America, where the very landscape of this place is changing dramatically and drastically, man, and has now begun to make a hard transition for the worse, which has contributed to this whole, spirit of fear that has begun to seep into the minds of you people. The spirit of confusion and unease has rested here in America. And you could look no more further than the Holy Scriptures, man, okay, which consist of prophecies, things foretold to come to pass here in the latter days and to be brought more and more to the forefront. We're in a time now where the overwhelming spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is being felt in the form of prophecy, man. The prophecies has now begun to take center stage, you see, and your rhetoric and whatever you deem to be believable versus unbelievable and your vain opinions is now taking a back seat, man. See? And these prophecies is foretold to come in a series of plagues, all right? For one, that great famine that's foretold to sweep through America, okay, which is going to set off a sequence of events. The people becoming restless, man. You're going to have class wars and race wars, which is going to bring about sedition among men, insurrection of the people. And finally, the ultimate plague of those ICBM missiles, man, being shot back and forth throughout the world, which is going to come in the form of World War III. Okay, when the dust settles and the smoke clear, this place, America, Babylon the Great, is going to be left totally desolate, all right? But the one plague that's going to be the bridge, if you will, the glue to bring all these things together will be the mandating of the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast spoken of in Revelation the 13th chapter. And that's what I wanted to touch on in this lesson, man. And the fact that this idea is nothing new, okay? And we're going to merit and show you how the mark of the beast, okay, the RFID chip being mandated and the branding of slaves pretty much complement each other. Why? Because it's all an effort to make someone, person or persons, a perpetual slave, you being a perpetual owner of a certain people. And that's nothing more than a birthright. When you consider, this rhetoric by the so-called white man, this swarm of activity, this guy Trump signing off on a $2 trillion relief plan, the biggest buyout in U.S. history, and ultimately the crowning achievement goal of the so-called white man, which will come in the form of the New World Order. There's nothing more than a fancy, polished up way of saying the so-called white man in his desperation to get the birthright, man. And why is that? Because the birthright actually entails slavery. That's what the blessing is all about, man. The blessing that was given to our forefather Jacob, which by the way translates to Israel, is nothing more than slavery, okay? Having slaves, being masters over a particular people, all right? And that's what the fine print consists of when concerning the blessing, man. Matter of fact, let's go there before we get into this lesson. This is out of the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter. And start at the 34th verse. It says, and when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. Yeah, and what was the words of his father? That Jacob would receive a blessing. See? And that was the motivation behind this devil crying out and weeping bitterly, man. And that shows you that this blessing, this birthright, is the driving force behind the so-called white man doing everything that he does. You see? Everything centers around this blessing, because this blessing is a perpetual blessing. Whoever was to receive that blessing will be set up forever. And this is why Esau wept bitterly. See? He understood the magnitude of that blessing. And that's why this man have a perpetual hatred for us. All right? Verse 35, and he said, thy brother came with subtlety and have taken away thy blessing. Yeah, and Jacob, he possessed subtlety. He pretty much finessed the birthright from this devil Esau. But it was all set up in the spirit. It was meant to play out that way because the blessing was meant for Jacob. See? Verse 36, and he said, is not he rightfully named Jacob? For he have supplanted me these 2 times. Yeah, that's the words of Esau. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, has thou not reserved a blessing for me? So, yeah, this devil, he was looking for a consolation prize. Esau was asking his father, Isaac, that's the only blessing you have? Verse 37, and this the point. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord. See, that word Lord translates to master, man. Let's read this again. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him, Jacob, thy Lord. See, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. So this is what the blessing entails. A Lord or a master having servants or slaves, man. See? We're going to show you where that microchip and also the branding of slaves pretty much translates to them being your property forever. See? It says, and with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto thee, my son? So you see what the blessing is all about. Yeah, there's perks that come with the blessing, but the main blessing, you know, the main overtone of the blessing, should I say, is having servants, having slaves, you becoming a Lord. And again, this blessing right here, it can't be altered. This is a perpetual blessing. This means whoever received this blessing will be a Lord forever. All right? So now with that, this is the book of Exodus, the 21st chapter, and starting at the 2nd verse. It says, if thou buy an Hebrew servant 6 years, he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Yeah, and the so-called white man, they bought us, man. You know, when you go to the history, they would buy Hebrew slaves, Hebrew servants, jakes. They would buy us on these auction blocks. They'll split up the families and they'll buy you. They'll purchase you, right? But there's a clause in this contract. After a certain amount of time, you got to let that servant go, which Esau violated that. Matter of fact, let me get a quick precept and we'll go back. This is Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, in the 33rd verse, it says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. Yeah, and that proves that Israel does not only consist of so-called Negroes, but it consists of the Latin tribes as well. That's what this is going into. See, because when you go into the history, the southern tribe and the northern tribe had a split. And the southern tribe went into captivity under the ancient Babylonians, and the northern tribe went into captivity under the Assyrians, starting with this guy Shalmaneser V. All right, that's the history right there. So now we would be in unprecedented times because all the tribes is together. But we're all together under the banner of oppression. We're all being oppressed. Okay, when you go into the so-called Negroes, all right, and the so-called Latin tribes, well, we all have one common enemy, man, and that would be Esau, the so-called white man. See? So again, it says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel, the northern tribe, and the children of Judah, the southern tribe, were oppressed together," and that's right here in America. See? "And all that took them captives held them fast, they refused to let them go." See? "And all that took them captives held them fast, they refused to let them go." And that's a violation of the law. Okay? And again, that's why because after a certain amount of time, you take someone captive, you have to let them go. Well, these devils haven't let us go, man. See? Which brings me back to Exodus, the 21st chapter, and the second verse again. "If thou buy an Hebrew servant," which they did, "6 years he shall serve, and in the seventh he shall go out free for nothing." Yeah, so these devils, they didn't honor this law, man. You know? Although the laws wasn't given to them, but they took the law unto themselves. And pretty much they violated it. Because the scriptures say, if you buy a Hebrew servant, which they did, after the 6th year and the 7th year, you're supposed to let us go, man. Which they did. See? Verse 3. "If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him." Yeah, and in a lot of cases, you have families, you know, and you're supposed to release all of them. "If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free." And that's the mentality of a lot of you jakes. You love your master. You have developed this sympathy, this soft spot for your oppressor, which is known as Stockholm Syndrome, man. You know, you could look that term up. See? This is the mentality of a lot of our people, the 2/3, in fact. Again, it says, "And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free." Yeah, that's the mentality of our people. We tell them, look, man, there's a kingdom prepared for you. Return to your power, you know, and detach from this world. And our people, when they say, man, the hell with you in that doctrine, in a roundabout way, they saying, I love my master. All right? So again, "And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him into the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or into the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever." Let's read this again. "Then his master shall bring him unto the judges." Yeah, and this is concerning those servants who love their master and they don't want to go free. Now, this, when applied to these times, is concerning you jakes out there, you know, who don't want to return to Yahweh Shema Shah. You rather stay under your oppressor. So what will happen in that case? Then his master will bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear, see, through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Meaning, once you brand or bore or pierce that servant, he's yours forever. So Esau know about this, man. So what they trying to do, they trying to bore you with that chip. They trying to brand you so you would be their perpetual servant, meaning they would will themselves to the birthright, which we just read, you know, to begin this lesson, that the birthright consists of slavery. Now, real quick, let's look up the definition for this word bore real quick. It says to bore, pierce of the ear, all right? Pierce. Okay, you're going to pierce, all right? Which means to mark you, you know, you're making that person your property. You're branding him. See? Which brings me to a little information I wanted to share real quick. This is from Wikipedia right here. And it says, human branding. human branding, which this human branding is a custom. This is nothing new. But the dynamic of this human branding is between master and slave. So you see now where this chip and the mandating of the chip, which is a form of branding you, is centered around the relationship of master and slave. You got, man, we slaves, man. We still servants under this devil. This devil has refused to let us go, man. Only way we're going to be liberated or free is through Yahweh Shah, man, when he returns. So everything that takes place is a relationship between master and servant, man. These different laws and legislations and regulations. Why the hell they telling you what you can do right now? They could tell you, hey, look, you can't leave your house right now, man. If you have a small business, you can't open up your business. See? Because they look at the people as goyim, as cattle. And by the way, what do you do for your cattle? We know when you look to mark them as your own, you know, when you take ownership of whatever livestock you have, you brand it. See? So this says human branding, right? Human branding or stigmatizing is the process by which a mark, see, by which a mark. Now, mind you, this right here is dealing with slaves, man. Matter of fact, let's prove that real quick. Let me jump down. See right here, you see the image they give you? See that? That's images of slaves being branded. But you see this key word there. It says human branding is the process by which a mark, see, usually a symbol or ornamental pattern is burned into the skin of a living person with the intention that the resultant scar makes it permanent. See, the resultant scar makes it permanent. Now, when you fast forward to this mark of the beast, that's going to be by way of surgery, which is going to leave a scar, man. And it's going to mean that you're going to be a permanent servant of Esau. See that? So that's these devils trying to receive that birthright, which again consists of slavery. You got to remember, Isaac told Esau, look, I have made him your Lord. And how was he made Lord? What cemented that? The fact that he received that blessing. See? It says, with the intention that the resultant scar make it permanent, this is performed using a hot or very cold branding iron. It therefore uses the physical, salakit. It therefore uses the physical techniques of livestock branding, okay? Livestock branding on a human, okay? So just like you would brand your cattle, which the elites, they have a term, goyim, which they look at the people as goyim, as cattle, meaning you are their possession. So what will you do with cattle? You brand it. Now, let's click on this because there's something else you do to mark your cattle. All right, so let's click on this. It says livestock branding. All right, and let's read a little of this. It says livestock branding is a technique for marking livestock, okay, so as to identify the owner. Yeah, that's what these devils want to do. They want to, they look at themselves as being the Most High. Okay, they challenging the authority of the Most High. They show you how proud they are. They want to say, look, we own you. See? When the Lord said all man and beast is mine, man, it says so as to identify the owner. Originally, livestock branding only referred to hot branding large stock with a branding iron, though the term now includes alternative techniques. Other forms of livestock identification includes freeze branding, inner lip, or ear tattoos. See, ear tattoos, ear marking, ear tagging. Yeah, and that's the spirit. We just read in the law where if a servant or that particular slave decided he wanted to remain with his owner, he would have his ear bore through with an awl. All right? And that word bore goes back to pierced. See? So this idea of presenting you with this mark, okay, goes back to human branding, which is the dynamic between master and slave in effort to mark him as your property. See? Well, that human branding pretty much is parallel to livestock branding. Again, these elites, they view you as nothing more than cattle. Okay, they have a term, goyim, man, where they look at the people as goyim. When you go into that word goyim, it means cattle. So what do you do with your cattle or your livestock? You brand it or you mark it in effort to claim it as your property, man. See? So again, it says freeze branding, inner lip or ear tattoos, ear marking, ear tagging, and radio frequency identification, RFID. See? Oh, RFID. Tagging with a microchip implant. See? And this where gradualism comes in. Because these devils, in effort to not have the masses panic, so to speak, they gradually present you with certain things. And it's no different with this RFID technology, man. It's been around. These devils been in the lab concocting this elaborate plan and scheme. And again, it's all an effort to gain the birthright, which is a feeble attempt. Yet, these devils, out of desperation, is attempting that, man. And again, they're not going to just force it on you. They started off with pets and animals, and they'll package it to you, in effort if you lose your pet, if your dog or cat come up missing, if you chip it, then you'll be able to track it. See? But guess what? It wasn't meant for pets and animals, man. Or in this case, livestock as it concerns physical cattle. No, it's concerning you people. That's the end goal for these elites, to brand you, to mark you. Again, which goes into the blessing, which consists of slavery, man. The blessing consists of one people being lord over another. And these devils know and they understand that. You see? So yeah, I just want to touch on that, Lord willing. It was edifying. Until the next time I say shalom.